strike for the Tournament of Champions. There it is! What will happen this week? The PBA on ESPN is next. The drama and excitement of the PBA Tour continues with live coverage here on ESPN from Long Island today. It's the PBA GEICO Open from Babylon Lanes in West Babylon, New York. Just a quick drive from New York City. Now let's meet the final five. This week's wild card has 2 career titles, including the 2001 Long Island Open. 4th in the PBA World Rankings, a local boy from Flushing, New York City, Delutz Jr. From Sandusky, Ohio, near Cleveland, making his first TV appearance since October of 2001. He owns 1 PBA title, Jeff Lizzi. He finished second 3 weeks ago in Toledo, sits atop the Rookie of the Year standing from Garland, Texas, near Dallas, Chris Johnson. From Elmira, New York, he won his 4th career title last week in Latham, near Albany. This season, he's won 90% of his matches. Ryan Shafer. Making his 2nd TV appearance this season, 10th in the PBA World Rankings with 1 career championship. From Mexico City, Mexico, by way of Niagara Falls, New York, Patrick Healey Jr. The final 5 from Long Island today. Dave Ryan with Randy Peterson. Randy, let's check in with the brackets this afternoon.
In the wild card match, local favorite Tommy Delutz Jr. looks to reclaim a spot in the Tournament of Champions when he takes on Jeff Lizzi, who hasn't won in 226 events. Semifinal number 1 pits hard-throwing Chris Johnson, searching for his first title, and last week's winner, Ryan Shafer. Patrick Healey Jr. will finish in the top 10 for the 4th straight week, waits for the wild card winner in semi number 2.
Peterson, our entire crew, live coverage. PBA Tour continuing here on ESPN. Hope you've had a wonderful Thanksgiving week and weekend. Safe and happy holiday season. Tommy Delutz would like to ring in the upcoming Christmas holiday season with a win. Nice start. Help on the 8-pin.
Beautiful start with a little wally. Mixer, switch zone, wherever you want to call it.
Long stretch for Jeff Lizzi from near Cleveland since he's been on TV. October 9th, 2001, lost to Jack Laffey by 9 pins in Indianapolis. You're looking at the very longest streak. Active solid 10-pin there without a title. 226 events and counting. Obviously, he would love to change that today. It's back to November of '92. We thought Mike Scroggins, the lefty who made 3 shows earlier this season in succession, had a long streak. Also '92 in Sacramento for him. Nice start, Jeff Lizzi. It's been a while since he's been on TV, but he does get his mark. Our Baby Ruth real deal matchup, Randy.
Big difference in average here, but you know what? The one thing is when Jeff Lizzi had to strike to win his matches, he did. His last 2 matches, going game 7, going the distance. He bowled 20 out of a possible 21 games in match play this week.
1-0. A roll off. Jeff Lizzi against Tommy Delutz Jr. Nice call on lane 47. Folks, we understand there are some technical difficulties in your reception, depending on your area, so please bear with us. We're working all of our issues out. And mentioning that roll off, Randy, last night we were talking with Tommy. Jeff was patiently waiting to meet with us after the round of 8 matches here in Long Island. In passing, Jeff said, no more roll-offs, all right? Here's that ball. The 11-8 match play record over a 224 average for Tommy Delutz Jr. What a great start he had in qualifying, really separating himself early.
Yeah, big lead, the qualifying leader this week. but it looked like Tommy was going to be on his way out in the round of 16. He was down 0-3 to Jim Tomek, came back and won the last 4 games to move on.
Because he was the highest qualifier amongst the round of 8 losers, Tommy is in as our wild card today, and appeared in our meeting with him last night a bit disappointed, Randy, that he didn't win. Patrick Healey Jr. A little off the mark. Oh, does he get help? No. On the 2.
Ball kind of quit right before he got in front of the headpin. Watch this. Tommy Delutz playing about the 24th board. Ball ran out of steam as it got there. Almost trips the 2-pin forward.
Despite just making his first show, Tommy's had a great year. Been very consistent. 4th guaranteed points today, even with a loss on the tour. He's 5th in average, over 221 per game this year. So yes, it's been frustrating. He told us last night not winning a tournament, not getting on TV until today, but he knows he's right there with the points, in great shape to make the all-exempt tour next year.
And one of the most consistent players over the last 5 or 6 years out on the PBA tour.
Jeff Lizzi, 12 years full-time on the tour. He knows he can do a good run. He's had one before. And once he gets back there with shots like that, he might just do it.
All right. Yeah, Big Blue.
Big Blue right around the 4th arrow, a little bit further right than Tommy. But you can see Jeff Lizzi kind of spinning it a little bit at the bottom at release point to get that ball to push to the right. He's trailed in all of his matches. The big one against the powerful Tim Mack, he was down 3 games to 1, came back and won the next 3 games to move on.
He told us because Mack was rather demonstrative in that match, a lot of emotion, that Jeff actually fed off of that, used it to his own advantage. Comes in high, almost crossing over the head pin, leaves the 10.
Don't hit it that hard.
Jeff's a real strong guy, a lot of weightlifting in his background, and that one he just caught too much of. The ball broke loose when it got to the back part of the lane.
Single pin numbers, Jeff trying to increase that. What a family of bowlers for Jeff Lizzi. Pretty deep in that department, certainly. His twin brother John, older brother Tom, both are bowlers. There's his wife, Kathy Doran Lizzi. She's from Linden, New Jersey originally. The two met in Sayville, New York, on the island a few years back. Professional bowler herself. She's a commentator for ESPN, ESPN2 Women's Professional Tour matches. And there's more. Delutz Jr. in the pocket. Has a good feel, doesn't he?
Yeah, you know, the one thing that you don't see Tommy do a whole lot of is throw bad shots, whether it's television, qualifying. It's the one thing that really impresses me the most about Tommy Delutz. He just always seems to make good shots, no matter what's on the line. And that one was cured. This match is all even through 4.
He's 7 years old, Flushing, Queens. Wanted to sleep in his own bed this week, so it took the 45-minute drive back toward New York City every day.
Come on, hang on that one, baby. One more ball.
Ball listens quite well to Tommy Delutz Jr. Huge New York Mets fan, an All-American at William Patterson College in New Jersey in his day, mid-80s. Jeff Lizzi's dad and grandparents started the bowler center back home. Perfect ball for him, where at Star Lanes his wife Kathy works, 24-lane center there.
Around the 4th arrow, that's the 20th board. This ball faces the pocket perfectly. He's got that hand going around the ball just a little bit to clear the front part and get it to tip down the lane.
I want to wish an early congratulations to Jeff and his wife Kathy, who you saw a moment ago. December 2nd is their 3rd anniversary. This would be a wonderful present.
Yes, it would.
had to wheel back into the pocket. Just did so on lane 47. We are underway in the wild card match. Exciting action from Long Island. We'll break down the oil pattern and talk about the drama that some of these bowlers have faced and overcome the adversity when we return. ESPN's exclusive live coverage of the PBA GEICO Open is brought to you by GEICO. A 15-minute phone call could save you 50% or more on car insurance. By Bear Aspirin, take it for pain, take it for life. And by New Odor Eaters Plus, the only arch-supporting insole that protects against odor and wetness. Battery Park, and take the ferry right to the Statue of Liberty in Central Park, uptown. What could be better? Being close to New York City, we're here at West Babylon for the GEICO Open on ESPN. Wild card match underway now. And Randy Peterson, you talked about the ability for some of these bowlers on our tour to overcome adversity and hard times. It's a long, hard grind for these guys, but three in particular in our show today have had to overcome some difficult times themselves.
Yeah, they sure did. You know, last week, Patrick Healey Jr. missed a spare the last game in the round of 8 to miss the show. A couple weeks ago in Toledo, we saw Chris Johnson leave that unbelievable split to lose in the title match against Steve Jarris. And last week, Tommy Delutz Jr. got knocked out of the Tournament of Champions. But the difference between pros and amateurs is pros can rebound from adversity, and that's why these guys are back on TV today, giving themselves a chance to win.
Big question today. Can these three overcome and have success on TV and win a championship here on the island? Oil pattern C for
confusing, and the most confusing part was trying to get your ball to the front part of the lane so you could feed it to the break point down the lane. As the lanes break down, the players will move in. But what we saw this week was when the lanes got really goofy, the players would actually move to outside the second arrow and pipe it right up around the 8th board. Something to look for as the lanes start to change.
Be sure to click on PBA.com every Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern for Gutter Talk with host Delutz Jr. And for special features like on-demand coverage of the rounds of 16, 8, and our ESPN finals. All that and more on the tour's official website, PBA.com. Delutz is right with us as our statistician again. We appreciate that help, and congratulations to he and his wife Carolyn, also expecting their first.
Congratulations, Del. We're proud of you. We didn't think you could do it, but you pulled it off.
Carolyn, the sister of Kathy Lizzi, so Jeff Lizzi, Del Ballard, our brother-in-laws.
Brother-in-laws, both girls champions on the ladies' tour.
This is quite a bowling family, folks. We told you about it.
Slow.
One of the things that we've seen a lot on television, coming out of commercial, players tend to get a bit slow. Tommy Delutz Jr. avoiding a disastrous open frame by avoiding the big split. Only leaves a 6-10. Cross lane with a plastic spare ball, straight and firm.
Down go numbers 6 and 10.
Hand comes straight up the back. Thought he chopped it. Ball held its line. He covered both pins with the ball.
Now that's a facial reaction from Tommy Delutz Jr., who, by the way, we may see wincing, speaking of reactions, with his face today because of a wrist problem. He tells us he suffered in Japan. He rolled a tendon, he says, under that brace in the right hand, his bowling wrist. He's dealt with a lot of pain. Coming in light there on lane 47. So, folks, imagine for a moment, and as Tommy relayed to us last night, his next shot could be his last of the season. He's afraid it may go. He can't have it operated on now.
Yeah, he doesn't know if the wrist is going to give out on him. But, you know, the one thing that he does know is right now, as long as it feels good, he's got to take advantage of every opportunity.
You like that one? 2 and the 5 down. The multi-pin conversion number goes up for Tommy Delutz Jr.
Jeff told me the hardest thing for him this week, because he bowled so many games of match play, was just staying focused. He said it seemed like every game came down to the 10th frame.
See how far left he is. Has a pitch, lane 48. Hoping to will that back into the pocket. Didn't have enough. Why is he so far left?
Well, he's so far left because, number one, that's where his ball is telling him to play. You see, he's standing around the 33rd, 34th board, and he's been playing around the 4th arrow. This ball gets right of it with a lot of speed. If you get it right of that spot, your ball speed's got to be softer to get the ball to get back.
Takes care of his mark. Interesting footwork on the approach as well. Sort of a slow, deliberate pace to it. As we head to the 8th frame, wild card match beginning our action today. Live coverage of the PBA Tour from Long Island.
We've got a 3-pin match. Jeff Lizzi can strike out for 248. The best Tommy Delutz Jr. can do, 245.
Shot 8th frame. Come on. Lots of tour points on the line for a victory today. Jeff Lizzi would like more of those. Great shots and more points. Brad Angelo, last year's Rookie of the Year, is the leader. Made the one show in Omaha to begin the year and none since. We've seen Pete as he appeared in his show last week, making his debut on TV. First place on the line, 25,000 points. Double awarded for 3 of the 4 majors. Not for the next Tournament of Champions, which comes up in a couple of weeks from Uncasville, Connecticut. Another great shot from Tommy Delutz.
Tommy further left, going further right. His speed has to be perfect. That ball slaughters the pins. Again, still a 3-pin match.
Strike for Tommy Delutz Jr. puts him up 7 pins. Looks for a double. Max numbers for each, as Randy said, 3-pin differential is possible. Another great shot from Delutz Jr. Appears the ball when he needed it most. And we asked Tommy last night about getting back to the TOC, the Dexter Tournament of Champions. He was knocked right off the bubble last week by Ryan Shafer's victory in Albany. And he said when he had his second career win, what he first thought was getting to the TOC, how big that was for him. Now he's out on the outside looking in, trying to get back into that 32-player field.
Maintain this lead with a strike right here. Oh,
4-pin.
Good shot. That's right. Damn it.
Looked like he got this one in, just a pinch. Actually, right over the 4th arrow. Maybe just a pinch too much hand. The ball bit too much down the lane, comes in a little high. With a spare here, he's going to be still in the 2 teens. Strikes out, he could shoot 228. That would force Tommy Delutz Jr. to get the first strike and count to win.
Gotta have this one. Takes care of the mark.
Come on, 4 and 10.
Yeah, he needs really 2 and 8. That would force Tommy Delutz to strike on the first. Actually, 2 and 7 would force Tommy Delutz to strike on the first ball. Anything less, Tommy Delutz could just mark in the 10th frame and he would go on.
Wife Kathy told us last night she has trouble watching moments like this when her husband is bowling because of the drama. Hopes to see a big strike. Yeah! He knew it. He had cured that ball on release.
Couple more of those.
Last night when Jeff Lizzi won his match in the round of 8, the 7th game, Kathy, his wife, was in tears, came down and gave him a big hug. Right now, I'm sure she's having trouble watching this next shot. This is a big shot. This will force Tommy Delutz to strike on his first ball.
It can be so difficult for the spouses to take in pressure-packed moments like these. And she knows what it's like. She's been a champion on the women's tour. Needs another.
One more.
Got it.
Come on.
What a huge shot. Watch this. The 6 is going to go to the wall. Late take the 10 out. Oh, just barely. And watch Kathy's reaction. Well, it's tough enough when your spouse doesn't bowl, but when you're a professional bowler like she is, you live and breathe with each and every shot. You know what the score is. You know exactly what your husband needs to do to get it done. 7 or better on this shot, Jeff, is all you need.
We've talked all about pressure and drama that many of the bowlers overcome.
All right, that's good. Nine's good.
Randy mentioned wanted at least 7. He gets 9. He'll take that gladly. His wife knows how critical that was. Semifinal number 1. CJ, the rookie from Dallas, Texas. The gunslinger against last week's champion, Ryan Shafer from Elmira, New York. The first time those two have met on TV coming up next. Very exciting match, certainly. You know what he needs? Wow. Didn't get it.
2 years ago when Tommy Delutz Jr. won in Long Island, that's exactly what Chris Barnes left to lose to him. He does the same thing against Jeff Lizzi. You heard him say it, he got it too far right. Jeff Lizzi is your winner.
And Kathy just realized it by checking the scoreboard. Going to be a frustrating end to a brilliant week for Tommy Delutz Jr., the local lad from 45 minutes away in Flushing, Queens.
Looks pretty good right around the arrows, but this ball just scoots a pinch down the lane. And again, ball speed was critical this week. If you got too firm, it did just that.
First head-to-head with Patrick Healey Jr. Talking back home to Dad Bruno and brother John, twin brother, who thought about making the 9-hour drive overnight from near Cleveland, but opted to watch on ESPN instead. They've got a great seat. And they see Lizzi take a 5-pin victory. Chris Johnson, the exciting rookie, takes on Ryan Shafer, bidding for back-to-back titles when we return.
I'm only fans as we continue to work through our technical.
Last week at the PBA Empire State Open in Latham, New York, Ryan Shafer moved into the championship match by taking care of Pete Weber in semifinal action. He'd then move on to face Chris Barnes in the championship match, where Shafer kept his momentum going. It would be Ryan Shafer's 4th career PBA title, more importantly an exemption to next year's tour and the chance to win more PBA championships. Dramatic moment for Ryan Shafer last week, just about 3 hours from their hometown of Elmira, New York. He's still in New York State with a chance for another win. How difficult, Ryan, was it to overcome the high of winning last week to make another show this week with your emotions?
It was really difficult. In the round of 32 and the round of 16, I was just mentally exhausted, and I bowled Ronnie Russell and Tim Chris, and they bowled great, and I was just lucky to get through. And then I had a second win last night against Brad Angelo, and hopefully I can continue today.
No one has won back-to-back shows yet this year on tour. What's it going to take?
It's going to take a great game because Chris is a great bowler, and the lanes have broken down a lot since practice, so I'm going to have to be on the ball.
Different styles in the matchup, Randy, in this semifinal.
Yeah, there really is. 2 unique styles. Both guys, a lot of energy, fun to watch, big power balls. Make no doubt about it, you're going to see the guys playing way in. And I think way in for Chris Johnson is his specialty. This guy really amazes me. Dave, his 8th tournament, 2 shows, he's fearless. He just doesn't know that, that you have to be afraid of these guys out here because he's had early success and he's just ridden the roller coaster for the last 8 weeks. But this was last week's winner.
Upstate New York. And red-hot Ryan Shafer, back-to-back shows, has the rev rate dialed in for his first ball. Great confidence boost to begin that way as we check out the Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup.
And in every statistical category, Ryan Shafer is leading. But Chris Johnson doesn't go by stats. He doesn't read stats. He just says, hey, man, bring it on. Let's get after it.
90% in match play. Talk about dominant. Wow! Shreds the rack twice to begin this semifinal match against the flame-throwing rookie, Chris Johnson.
Ryan Shafer just a little bit left of where Jeff Lizzi was. 2 or 3 boards. Remember, each board is about an inch in width. See what he did in the round of 8. Last night he threw the last 22 out of 24 strikes the last 2 games. But this guy, Chris Johnson, can strike.
Talk about confidence with Chris Johnson. Met with him last night. And first question you ask him about the adversity you spoke about a few moments ago, coming in from the AMF Babylon Lanes, West Babylon, Long Island, New York, about 45 minutes or so east of New York City. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire crew. We asked Chris, what were you bothered about losing to Steve Jarris? Jarris is on the bench in Toledo. Yeah! He's not bothered now. I think his performance answers the question plain and simple. It's the confidence. He says he got over it almost right away.
Well, he said that, he said it was money out of his hand. He thought it was going to strike. He thought it was going to do this right here. The ball just kept going. He likes that one. Perfect through 3. Ryan Shafer working on a double. A strike will even the match.
Trying to continue the hot start between our two. Look a touch high, hoping that would hold. His first 2 best-of-7 match play rounds. Our Tim Chris works with us on our ESPN broadcast. Made the round of 16, as did Randy Peters.
Thanks, Dave.
Congratulations.
Thank
Good
you
week
much.
for you.
Thank you. See why Brad Angelo's leading the point race this year, but Brad won the first game against Ryan Shafer, and then Ryan Shafer just mauled him the next 4.
Oh, Shafer a 12-7 match play record, over 229 average in his match play wins. You had a nice thing going until you ran into Pete Weber.
Well, in the round of 32, Pete Weber beat my buddy Ray Edwards 4-0, and then I bowled Pete the next morning, and he beat me 4-0. And that was the second time he's done that 2 years in a row in Long Island.
Wow. Change that trend, partner. Shafer avoids the open frame. Road to the TV show. Kretzer, Ozio, and Pete Weber, the legend, went down in 7. Couple of 7-gamers there. And look at all the matches that went the distance. It's CJ from Garland, Texas, near Dallas. He told us last night, an absolute dream come true, not only to compete against PDW, Pete Weber, for the first time, but to beat him. He says, growing up as a kid, watched him on TV and would envision taking on Pete Weber, needing to double in the 10th, and every time in my little dreams about it, he would double in the 10th and beat Pete Weber. He faced him last night, realizing a dream in the round of 8, and took Pete in 7.
Perfection through 5 frames, young Chris Johnson leading the Rookie of the Year points. Let me show you why. Look at how far left he is. Look where he's sliding. His left foot sliding in the left gutter. Watch the hand flip around the side. That gets the ball to feed right. It also gets it to return. When you're playing that deep, you got to get the ball to return back to the pocket. The way you do that is by getting your hand to rotate around the side. Here's another guy that can rotate around the side of it.
Towards a dangerous split. 10-pin left up there for Shafer.
If you're asking yourself why is Ryan Shafer so much further right than Chris Johnson, it's simple. Ball reaction. Ryan decided to go much straighter. He's got less movement down the lane. His ball doesn't enter the pocket as sharp. But early on,
fifth frame and style.
Early on, it looks like Chris Johnson's got the best road to the 1-3.
Does it ever. Blistering the rack time and time again. 5-bagger to begin the match for Chris Johnson. Shafer is down 22 pins. Had a good year, although not high up in the tour rankings. He is in average over 221. He's 4th best on the tour in that category. Hoping for help. 10-pin. Down she goes. He'll gladly take that in the 6th frame. He is down 22 pins. When we return, the conclusion of this exciting match in the semifinal. Who will advance on to the final? We'll find out. Much more from the island to come. Welcome back to the PBA GEICO Open. Chris Johnson with 5 straight strikes, leading Ryan Shafer to begin this semifinal match. 6'2" Johnson has a vastly different form than the 5'8" Shafer. Randy explains further in this week's Dexter approach.
Yeah, two contrasting styles. Take a look at 150-pound Ryan Shafer on the left. Hand starts underneath the ball. Shoulder high backswing, look at this, about level to the floor, parallel to the floor. Go ahead and roll Chris Johnson. Hands on the side to start. Now watch this, look at him reach for the heavens. Look how vertical that swing is. Now watch the body position at the foul line. Very little knee bend and almost straight up and down for Ryan Shafer. Now look at this, knee bend, look at the body lean. It's something very unusual. Look at that follow through right in front of his face. The point is, for you folks at home, use whatever style you want, but the key is to learn how to repeat it each and every shot.
Always interesting in the Dexter approach to break down. Now the bowler's release. Footwork can be so intriguing and almost always different, bowler to bowler.
Absolutely. You know, when you talk to Chris Johnson, you ask him why he does what he does, he says, I have no idea. It's all feel.
He's got a good feel right now. Look out. Crossing over the head pin. 6-bagger and a 32-pin lead for CJ.
I want you to watch his hand at the foul line. Watch how the fingers rotate around. Look at it go around the side. That ball he got left. And this week, if you grab the holes at the bottom of the swing, the ball never scooted right. That's exactly what he did there. But he got the huge break. He's got 6 in a row.
Oh! 7-10.
Well, sometimes you're the dog and sometimes you're the hydrant. He got the huge break on the right lane, but this was payback.
Only 3 on TV have done it. He will not be number 4 as he whiffs and leaves 2 up. So after a tremendous start and open in the 7th for Chris Johnson, how will he respond to further adversity? It's been such a big part of our theme today in our show. Next week, the show moves to suburban Hartford, Connecticut, the Cambridge Credit Classic. 1 o'clock Eastern time. For more, log on to ESPN.com. We're coming from Windsor Locks, right next to Bradley International Airport. Should be another great deal. Almost had back-to-back 7-10s. Can you believe it? Ryan couldn't. 10 is up.
Watch this, back-to-back 7-10s, that's sick. He gets a nice break here, though. He trips the 7 late. But what he really needed was a strike, because with 2 strikes in the 7th and 8th, he could have taken the lead.
Other scores for bowlers who did not make it from the round of 32 on. Tony Reyes, a bid for his first show of the season. That fell a little bit short. Our Tim Chris, Ryan Shafer's wife Michelle, who went back with Ryan to Elmira a little less than 3 hours from the Albany area after they won their title. Boy, was she happy. Said what a sigh of relief the whole family, community received when Ryan got his victory. Then came back here for Thanksgiving. Out to the island to compete, and he's in another show. Staying high. Oh, late trip on the 10. 8-frame strike for Ryan Shafer, trying to take advantage of the open from Johnson.
Yeah, that's a nice break he just got there. He got the wall he was looking for the frame before that. It's a 16-pin match. Ryan Shafer can strike out for 248. Chris Johnson going at a 234 pace.
So far left with the footwork, and it comes right back into the pocket again. He has rebounded from the adversity we had mentioned. This is a young man who had the victory all but sewn up in his first ever TV show. Finals against Steve Jarris in Toledo a couple of weeks back. Felt not only the first ball, but the second as well. He told us last night for his spare, he had pured right off the hand. Felt it was okay.
Yeah, he thought he had converted the split. Steve Jarris wins sitting on the bench.
Flame, watch it.
Somebody yelling in the stands. Give me a break.
Can that be distracting?
Well, it can be, but I mean, you have to be focused. You've got to be concentrating on what you're doing. And this was a most inopportune time to leave the 3-4-6-7. Goes to a spare ball, try to get the ball to the right side of the three, throw it into the 4-7.
What a conversion for Chris Johnson. Against Steve Jarris. 2 weeks back in Toledo. Chris Johnson in his first ever TV show had his opportunity. But left that split for spare. Thought he had it. But he couldn't kick the 10-pin out. And Steve Jarris on the bench won it. He told us last night, did Chris Johnson, hey, I haven't seen that yet. I'm not going to watch that again until I get home for the holiday break. Don't have access to a VCR. He's passed it.
Come on, go.
Oh! More help for Shafer.
Carbon copy of his strike that he threw in the 8th frame. He needs a double 7 to win now. 2 strikes and 7 because of this hit. I don't even know what hit the 10-pin. Gigantic break. The best Chris Johnson can do is 244. Ryan Shafer can strike out 248. It's all going to come down to who performs in the 10th frame.
Shafer performed all too well last week in Albany. Came through clutch situations when he needed the strike. Can he do it again? There's one.
And boy, is that bowling ball doing a number on these pins. He's thrown the last 3 strikes and not one shot has been flush yet. That's why you put power and revolutions on a bowling ball, to carry off hits. Ryan Shafer taking a re-rack, buying time. This is the biggest shot for him of the week. But this is what kept Chris Johnson in the match. This is why he's still alive right here.
Chris told us last night he's bowled for the cheese in big moments in his career. Bowling the action bowling, the high stakes before entering the tour this year. So he knows about big moments. Huge moment forthcoming for Elmira's Ryan Shafer. Brooklyn strike. Wow.
That's terrible.
And as a professional, you never want to win like this. But with everything that's at stake out here on the tour, you'll take it, and gladly. Chris Johnson had a Brooklyn in the 6th frame. Ryan Shafer with 7 pins here, just one with a Brooklyn in the 10th.
I guess it evens it out.
Look out.
7 pins. Ryan Shafer has survived, and barely, with a huge strike and then the 7-pin count. He does
45 I ever had.
advance to the final. He says the worst 245, but he'll take it gladly. How about barely, Randy?
I mean, that could have been 6 easy. Actually,
the dream.
It could have been 5.
You're right. He could have lost quite easily.
That could have been a 5-count washout.
The dream in his quest for his first ever title. Until us last night, did Chris Johnson got a chance this year, maybe next year, to be the player of the year. High aspirations. Very confident young man. We'll have to wait a little bit longer.
Good bowling. Good bowling, bud. Good bowling.
Will Ryan Shafer be our first back-to-back tour winner? He answered the question a few moments ago. said to us today before the TV show, maybe a little bit of luck as well. Whatever it is, Ryan Shafer has the magic working. He's got a great shot to win another championship on the island. ESPN's exclusive live coverage of the PBA GEICO Open is brought to you by Uniroyal, the official tire of the PBA Tour. Uniroyal tire is trusted by American families since 1892. By Cambridge Credit Counseling, log on to nonet.com and find out how good it feels to be debt-free. And by Dexter, bowling, golf, and casual, we have the right shoe for you. Madison Square Garden, about a 45-minute drive from where we are. I saw the USS Intrepid as well there, right off the West Side Highway. Welcome you back to the PBA GEICO Open. To qualify for next season's Elite Exempt Tour, bowlers need to win a title or finish in the top 50 in points. Here's where some of our notable bowlers stand currently. Norm Duke guaranteed himself a spot with his win 2 weeks in week 2 in Kansas City. His win on Long Island last year, one of the most memorable in PBA history, and is the subject of this week's Miller Milestone.
Dave Traber has to match whatever Norm does in the 10th frame.
You're sweating. You're actually nervous. Look at you.
Heck, I wasn't nervous.
You're nervous? Look at you.
No way. Look at you. You're the one that you knew.
You have a porta potty underneath your seat.
Still have a sudden death roll off possible.
Well, now you're saying one more. Well, yeah, you know you got away with the first two.
3 strikes in the 10th frame for Dave Traber. Anything less, Norm Duke is going back to the Tournament of Champions.
Does he have another one? Yes!
Not afraid of anybody. I wasn't afraid of you.
Right there! That's what we're talking about. You pointing at me there?
You darn right.
Oh, I thought you were mad at somebody else. No. If I'd have known that, I'd have probably just quit.
By PBA rule, all tie games must be broken by 1-ball sudden death roll-off.
The roll-off begins. 10-pin. We're still tied.
Both of you gagged in that shot.
Yeah.
Please get the 9. Traber again.
Yeah! Fruit salad, baby! Come on! What was that?
I tripped the 4. Big deal.
No, you didn't. You tripped yourself.
A strike for the Tournament of Champions. There it is!
Cut his heart out, Norman. Yeah.
Now, what was all the crying about?
That's a beautiful trophy, by the way, Dave. It's sitting in my kitchen still.
I thought it was mine.
Looks sweet.
As you saw, we are fierce competitors on the lanes, but off the lanes, we're a family. I spent more than half my life out here with these guys, and they're like my brothers. But all the love goes away when Patrick Healey Jr. takes on Jeff Lizzi, coming up next.
This marks the 112th PBA Tour event in the state of New York, 26th in the Long Island area. Ryan Shafer through to the final. Who will he face? Perhaps Patrick Healey Jr., who's standing by with Randy Peterson.
Thanks, Dave. Patrick Healey went through a big change in Chicago about 5 weeks ago. Tell us about it.
Well, I signed a contract with Storm Bowling Company. They were good enough to offer me a contract, and I appreciate that very much. A couple weeks of getting used to the balls, and you know, lo and behold, the last 4 weeks have been fabulous. So I'm real happy.
Good luck, Patrick. Thanks. Dave Ryan, the last 4 weeks, the red-hot Pat Healey Jr., what he's done, well, his worst finish, 8th.
Would like to make this a first-place finish on the island. Semifinal number 2, Randy, set to go against Jeff Lizzi, who had been away from TV for so long. 226 events without a tour championship. He bowled very well in the wild card to get here to the semis.
Big Blue got to hook a lot more than that one.
That does, Jeff. It's light.
All right. That's a nice shot.
A little bit of time to wait for Jeff as we see the multi-pin conversions. Randy, it's been a while between shows. take the time between the wild card and that semifinal he competes in? Is that tough for him?
I think it is. And, you know, it's been a long time since Jeff's won. Long time since he's made a telecast. He does have one win under his belt, though, today. But not a good start.
Cover.
Yeah.
Not at all. 4-pin stands open for him to begin the semifinal match.
Doesn't get the ball far enough left of the head pin. Chops the 4-pin.
Patrick Healey Jr. told us last night he loves being in this position. Third match, chance to watch those on TV, read the lane reaction as the oil adjusts. And obviously, those reads ahead of time on the money as we check in with the Babe Ruth Real Deal matchup.
Look at this number. 16 pins a game, higher average for Pat Healey Jr. Last night, Pat Healey Jr. against Tommy Delutz in the round of 8. Last 3 games, 234, 257, 268 to close out the match.
His one title came back in Kansas City last year, early in the season. Yeah, right on the money. Tonight, Warren Sapp and the Tampa Bay Bucks look to right the ship against Fred Taylor, Byron Leftwich, the former Marshall star, and a young and hungry Jacksonville Jags team. Bucks, Jags, Florida matchup tonight, 8:30 Eastern, also available in stunning high-definition TV on ESPN HD. It all starts with NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite at 7:30 Eastern Time.
Keyshawn who?
No Keyshawn, no problem as the Bucks got their win last week against the Giants. Already down 21 pins. That is right through the nose.
That's right. When I bowled Pete Weber in the round of 16, we were both kind of playing the same part of the lane. By the 4th game, the lanes were on fire. I mean, the oil broke down. I had to move so far left. Pete with that nice soft release, that nice side tilt. Man, he mauled me. Looks like Patrick Healey is a lot further left than Jeff. Looks like a lot of the stuff that I saw in my match with Pete.
Spare.
Talks his spare ball and a covering for the mark. And his first mark of this semifinal match after the open to begin. One career title, defeated Amelado Moncelli, the Hall of Famer, Lake Zurich, Illinois, near Chicago. 247 to 192 back in 1992. November 11th of that year. That's a long time between championships.
Likes
the lane breakdown.
Likes the left lane.
It's a little better.
There you go.
Good reason.
Talked to brother-in-law Del Ballard, our statistician up here in the booth with us, Dave. I asked him, what should Jeff do? Del's suggestion, move further left and get softer. Big, strong guy right here. He can do a lot with his hand at the bottom of the swing. And that one he feathered nicely right in the 1-3.
Jeff's got great family connections for advice. Brother-in-law Del Ballard, touring pro, and our stats man up here. His wife Kathy is a pro bowler. His sister-in-law.
Get around that ball return, buddy. Get around that puppy right there. Get around that ball return.
Healey likes his line to the pocket to get here over Tommy Delutz Jr., who qualified red hot and then faltered a bit in his stretch run and did not bowl well today. Went 7 games the last 2 rounds, and in match play, wow. Brilliant.
Round of 8, the last 4 weeks, made the show a couple of weeks ago. Back again. Last week, the only thing to keep him from making the show was the spare he missed.
He is locked in, no question about it. Patrick Healey Jr., who told us
It'll work.
after losing to Michael Fagan last week, it took a couple days to get over that round of 8 setback.
But again, I mean, look what he has done just to get to this point. That's what pros do. They rebound. You know, they take from experiences and they learn from them. They apply that experience to the next week, to the next tournament, to the next shot.
Can reduce the very large deficit to 31 pins with a strike here on lane 48. Hurry and look out. Like,
what are you doing?
2, 4, 10.
Not a bad bar reaction, just a bad shot. Poorly thrown, got around it. When you get around it like that, the ball doesn't have enough bite to get back.
When you get around it and you catch it with your hand, it will make it back.
Can he come with a wow, kicks it over nicely to the 10.
Come on.
Down it goes.
You always got to keep yourself in the game. Now make it count.
Take a look where Jeff Lizzi started the first match. Look where he's at right here. Now, his second match. Want to talk about lanes breaking down? He's a good 5 to 6 boards left after just 2 games on television.
And on TV, we're coming to you from Babylon Lanes, West Babylon, Long Island, New York. That is high. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, our entire crew bring you live PBA coverage.
Not the right way to do it.
There is an unhappy Jeff Lizzi.
He's not sure what his ball is going to do. A lot of times that forces you into making bad shots. Light on the right lane, high on the left.
Of all the bowlers, you want to know how a guy like Jeff Lizzi would react to the All-Exempt next year.
Figure out a reaction.
Since he's 43rd in points right now, Bill and Howard, thanks so much. The GEICO business managers are great hosts all week long with their fine staffs. We appreciate their efforts.
Hey, by the way, I got some good news.
What's that?
I just saved a bunch of money by switching my car insurance.
Couldn't get past that one, could we?
I had to throw the GEICO car insurance in there.
Healey looks for the front five. Big
Hey there. Yeah, baby.
Hey, Brian, one of the things that Pat Healey told us last night, you were sitting right next to me, he said, you know what? He says, I got to go all out. I got to take chances, and I got to be super aggressive. That's exactly what he's doing. He's got the front five. You can see him manipulating the ball at the bottom of the swing. He's got the perfect amount of side roll and revs to get that ball to read the pattern perfectly.
He seems so positive about the ability to watch the first 2 matches on TV, get a real feel for how he'd approach, which boards he'd go to, his angle and his pattern to the pocket. And obviously it has worked out.
Roll! Yeah! Yeah!
Patrick Healey Jr. told us it took 3 days to get over the setback to Michael Fagan. We had a 3-0 lead in Albany last week in the round of 8. It's all about overcoming adversity. A big theme of our show today on Long Island, and Patrick Healey has done that quite well. He's got a huge lead.
Thank you.
Patrick Healey Jr. continues to sizzle through the semifinal number 2 match. There's not much Jeff Lizzi can do.
The best Jeff Lizzi can do right now, 237. Patrick Healey perfect through 6.
There we go. That is an improvement
Ball
for Jeff
change always
Lizzi.
helps.
Gives us time to check in with our days in on the road. As we mentioned, we're headed to suburban Hartford next week, all leading up to the first half season-ending PBA Dexter Tournament of Champions at the Mohegan Sun, Uncasville, Connecticut. You can get tickets still. Log on to PBA.com, and you can order them on the nets. Regionals in Clarksville, Georgia, Reno, Nevada. Capping off our days in on the road from Long Island. Is he trying to double now? 7th frame. And a huge hold on 63 pins.
Oh.
Not enough help on the 8.
Had a lot of action going on down there.
You know, the thing I see that's the biggest thing standing out to me is you see how fast Jeff Lizzi's hand is at the bottom of the swing, how fast it snaps through it. When you watch Pat Healey Jr., how soft and slow it is. And to me, that's the difference in the 2 ball reactions.
That was the 8-pin for his mark.
You know, you rev a bowling ball really, really fast, Dave Ryan. It's like a dragster at the start, you know, where they burn up the tires, and those tires are spinning at like 4,000 RPMs, but the dragster isn't moving anywhere. It's the same kind of thing when you over-rev a ball. It doesn't read it right. To me, Patrick Healey Jr. has got the perfect blend of revolutions and side roll. It's meshing with the pattern perfectly.
All that blend is leading to big strikes.
Stay there, stay there, stay there, stay there! Hit it!
No! On the 4-pin. He was hoping it would stay in the pocket. It went high. He still almost got a break.
He says stay there because he got it a little bit in.
There.
Watch the forepin actually moves off its spot.
A little too much there.
Hit it! Just a little soft. Remember, too firm, ball doesn't hook. Too slow, it overhooks down the lane.
Takes care of the forepin. His mark in the 7th frame is wife Teresa from Mexico, one of the top female bowlers in that country. Has competed internationally for several years representing Mexico. As we mentioned top of the broadcast, they live in Mexico City with Patrick's stepson Victor, who will be 16 February 24th. And Patrick told us last night, Victor's talking about driving all the time, and the family Jetta may get used for some practice pretty soon.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. My kids won't drive until they're like 25.
At least. Back in gear.
Just looks so simple and effortless, yet this guy has got all the talent and all the tricks. Was schooled by one of the greatest coaches that's ever lived, Coach Fred Borden. Used to be the Team USA coach out in Akron, Ohio. Freddie, a proprietor, beautiful center there. But Pat Healey has all the tools. Here, oh.
3-pin for the Cleveland area native, Jeff Lizzi. Last year won just 23,000 plus on tour. And we mentioned 43rd in points coming in. He's the perfect guy to ask about the exempt tour. And he said, if you can't get the TV and win, you do not deserve to bowl next year.
Throw a couple good ones.
He's confident he can get there. He's in a huge hole today. A holiday tradition with a new twist. Annika Sorenstam, the first woman ever to compete in the skins game against Phil Mickelson. Fred Couples, Mark O'Mara. Coverage beginning today, 4:30 Eastern on ABC. What an unbelievable sand eagle. About 40 yards out?
Yeah, it's about a 40, well, about 40, 30, 40 yarder.
$175,000 shot by Annika Sorenstam. That was fun to watch. Can she continue the success against the men is the question.
I hope she takes all the money from the boys. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Not what I was hoping for.
Patrick Healey Jr., folks, has won. He's clinched it, so he is off to the final and will take on Ryan Shafer, who bids to become the first bowler on tour this year to win back-to-back titles. That's 7 different winners. A nice week finishing up for Jeff Lizzi.
Great week for Jeff, gets the all-important points and leaves this week with some renewed confidence.
That was a little bit better. Oh, easy.
All right, for next game. Wow. That was a real good
Thinking
one
about next game already, and that is against Ryan Shafer on TV so far as 0-2
No problem.
in their head-to-heads.
And here's a point I want to make. You hear Patrick Healey was saying, oh, that's a good one, that's a good one. Oh, it went high. Well, you know what? If you don't throw a good shot, you can't read your ball reaction. You can't make adjustments off it. Patrick Healey Jr. will make an adjustment for the title match on that lane.
Good week. Good week. Yeah, days in.
The good news for the roommate of Patrick Healey Jr., Mika Koivuniemi, is that he is safe at least for another week. The Dexter Tournament of Champions coming up, 32-man field. He was squarely on the bubble. Both Patrick Healey Jr. and Ryan Shafer are already in that field. Shafer, of course, by winning last week, he knocked Tommy Delutz Jr. out of the TOC field with that victory. And Mika Koivuniemi had been running.
Yeah, I got one good.
Save for now. That might change next week.
I will be back.
In wins or locks. All right, Jeff, we'll see. We'll hold you to that. As he tries to return down the road. You know Jeff well. You're surprised by his comment that the tour, the exempt tour, works for a guy like that?
No, not really. I mean, you know, the bottom line is, if you make the top 50, you deserve to be out here. If you don't, unfortunately, you're going to have to find some other way to get it back out here or another occupation. And as harsh as that may sound,
thank you all.
That's the reality of things. Whether you like it or you don't like it, that's the way it is. So you've got to just, You got to just do whatever you have to do to make sure you get in the top 50.
Another occupation for Jeff Lizzi would be helping run the family bowling center in Sandusky, Ohio. Also, he is a very good handyman. He was running John thinking of starting a construction company. That's an alternate career.
One down, one to go, huh?
He built himself a great lead in Long Island.
Okay.
Patrick Healey Jr. was too much. With his right finesse out from Mexico City, watching in person, he is off to the final to take on Ryan Shafer. When we return our Geico Direct Championship recap, we'll find out how these two great bowlers got this far. We are getting close to the final. Patrick Healey Jr., Ryan Shafer from West Babylon, New York, on the island. From bowling to football, tonight Warren Sapp and the Buccaneers look to right their ship against Fred Taylor, Byron Leftwich, and a young and hungry Jacksonville Jags team. Bucs and Jaguars tonight, 8:30 Eastern Time, also available in stunning high definition on ESPN HD. It all starts with NFL Prime Time, presented by Miller Lite at 7:30 Eastern Time. And let's check in with our Geico Direct Championship recap. As we mentioned earlier, we're going to find out how the Super Bowl has got this far.
In our wild card match, it was Jeff Lizzi defeating Tommy Delutz Jr. by the score of 227-222. Tommy Delutz needed a strike in the 10th, but he left it 2-4-5. And in semifinal number 1, Ryan Shafer defeated Chris Johnson by the score of 245-244. Shafer's Brooklyn strike in the 10th frame shut out Chris Johnson. And as you just saw, semifinal number 2, it was Pat Healey Jr. defeating Jeff Lizzi by the score of 259. So 184. Pat Healey started with 6 in a row. Jeff Lizzi never got on track.
Our Geico Direct Championship recap. Ryan Shafer trying to become the first back-to-back champion since Walter Ray Williams Jr., last year's Player of the Year, did it in 2000. Patrick Healey Jr., Ryan Shafer in our championship match from Long Island. Patrick, you told us last night, having a chance to watch the first 2 matches on TV would give you a really good read for the lane and how the oil would break down. Was it a big advantage for you?
Yeah, absolutely. The half an hour practice we had prior to the start of the show, the lanes played a lot tighter, a lot differently. And you know, my last match, the track opened up and I had a great ball reaction, so it was an advantage this week.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Ryan, winning last week eased a lot of pressure for you. You made the all-exempt field. Did that make it easier to compete on TV this afternoon?
It did until the second ball in the 10th, the match I had, and then the old nerves crept up just like they used to. So winning was a great thing, but the nerves are still there, and hopefully I'll bowl a good game right now.
Good luck in the finals. Chance at real history today, Randy.
Yeah, there sure is. We've never had a repeat winner, or back-to-back winner, I should say, since the new format. And the new format now is single elimination match play, the old format round-robin match play. $40,000 for first, a lot at stake, all important points. A win for Pat Healey Jr. He will be in the all-exempt field for next year.
Roll up there, roll up there. That is
It'll be interesting to see, Dave Ryan, if Ryan Shafer was watching, to see if Ryan Shafer makes the big move in. I don't think that Jeff Lizzi was ever far enough left the last match. Ryan Shafer's made a ball change. Let's see where he's playing on the lanes.
On TV, folks, it's all about adjustments. Good start. Apparently very observant was Ryan Shafer. He is the 4th bowler on tour this year to appear in back-to-back shows. As we check in with a Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup.
Averages almost identical, but here's the thing. When it comes down to crunch time and you need to throw a strike, Pat Healey Jr. does it 2/3 of the time.
Mika Koivunemi, Mike Scroggins, Danny Wiseman, and now Shafer have appeared in back-to-back. Scroggins the only one to make 3 straight TV appearances. That was high off the release and a 6-pin up. But as we mentioned, no one's won back-to-back. Maybe it changes today.
That ball never got far enough right, and it's because he's either not far enough left with his feet and his target to allow the ball to push right, or he just got it in, meaning left of target.
recovers the 6 and has his mark. But Healey has been blistering the rack time and time again in his semifinal match. Knocked off Jeff Lizzi, looking for his first career win on TV against Shafer. He's averaged just under 208 in his 2 appearances.
Hit! Yeah. Wow, what a beautiful look from that camera angle. Thank you, Scott Katz, our director, for that beautiful shot. And this is just perfection. You see the drift to the left, the hand rotate around the side, the perfect balance, how steady his head is, and that ball is dead flush perfect. Made the show in Toledo, bowled for the show in Philly, missed the spare last week that cost him the show. This week, 1 win away from a title.
He has been on fire without question. Lane 47 here. That is not 7 down.
Bad.
In case you're interested, to begin the year, 56th in Omaha, 42nd in Kansas City, and 66th in Chicago.
This looks soft to me. Dell says maybe it was a bit left, but in any event, he didn't like it. You heard him say bad, bad, bad. We saw both players' balls on the left lane over hook. See what kind of adjustments they make.
Trying to increase the multi-pin number. He'll do that. Nice pickup.
That's like a double.
You heard Pat Healey Jr. say that's like a double because that's how tough this spare is to make. And the reason why he lofts the ball so far on this spare is to get it to go to the right and have it hold its line. One of the things Pat Healey's been working really hard on is controlling loft.
Shafer with a big answer of his own. Ryan, want to make sure he has a special shout out to his roommate, Eugene McCune, who during our Long Island event was hurt, Randy, just stretching his knee out while he was competing. When sitting down at the time, tore it up pretty badly. Couldn't even move, right? He had to be left, taken out by an ambulance.
Yeah, they couldn't get an MRI done because there's too much swelling. Doesn't really know what the problem is.
Wow.
We wish you well, Eugene.
Come on.
7 pin, hoping for a break, doesn't get it.
Well, he moved left to get the ball to push down the lane, but then it didn't recover down the lane. So he's going to have to make it recover now with his hand, with his release. Ball just comes in a pinch light, doesn't get the good break by tripping the 7 out. We saw him do it last week where he actually manipulated the ball at release to get the ball to drive into the pocket.
Ryan Shafer, after winning in Albany last week, drove home to Elmira in his home center at Rossi Lanes. He's an assistant coach for the Elmira Free Academy Blue Devil High School team. Helped them out. They were happy to see a victory. Will it be Ryan Shafer sitting in the background who takes home that trophy from AMF Babylon Lanes on Long Island? We'll find out. Uniroyal Tire Rock and Roll. Semifinal number 1, Randy.
Yeah, and early in semifinal number 1, Ryan Shafer is going to do some serious logging here. Watch the bird dog. She's a hunting. Come on. Oh, yeah.
Uniroyal Tire Rock and Roll for this week. Big shot from Ryan Shafer, who trails Patrick Healey Jr. by 7. Both are in the Dexter Tournament of Champions in a couple of weeks in Uncasville, Connecticut. Shafer has the exemption ready for next year. Healey Jr. wants to join him. That's the way you do it.
Good shot, baby. Good shot.
Pat Healey Jr. is getting the ball to not only feed to the right and get back, but to stop right in front of the 1-3 pocket.
Patrick told us he will remember that moment, getting back to the Michael Fagan story, as long as he bowls. It was that difficult. See the numbers. He's been outstanding.
Oh, stay there.
Looked like it might drift a touch high, but it stays exactly where Patrick Healey Jr. needed. In the 5th.
Right about there, Patrick Healey says stay there. It does. Huge break trip in the 4, and that's a big double.
Shafer's down 17, 5th frame for Ryan. Pretty solid 10-pin.
40 feet down the lane.
Here's Bob Cassis, the AMF district manager. Thanks to Bob for his assistance this week.
Keep looking good ones. Do your job.
Do your job. That's what Patrick Healey's telling himself. Trying to stay focused. 18-pin lead now. As Shafer picks up the mark. Healey solidly in the driver's seat, however.
You think I was Robert Smith or something?
Ryan referencing the fact that he got that 10-pin to come out of the pit. It'll be removed. Right now, Ryan Shafer needs to strike, get things going.
That's in all the power Robert Smith has. Sometimes can knock the wood a little bit loose. But the touch light there, his wife Michelle watching closely. Both went to Horseheads High School near Elmira and Elmira Heights. Hometown, as we found out, of Tommy Hilfiger.
Tommy Hilfiger.
How about that?
I couldn't believe it. Shelley told us that earlier. I was like in shock. And my next question was, hey, can you work on a discount for us?
Ryan's mom, Vicky, also was there from Elmira in Albany. Latham, that's where we were last week when Ryan took home the title.
Wow. 16 pounds versus, I don't know, 3 pound, 6, 7 ounce wood. No chance when there's only one.
Turkey ball attempt here. 29 pin lead with a strike. They all go down. Late help on the 5.
Come on, baby, one more time.
Next week, our PBA Tour rolls on to Windsor Locks, Connecticut, near Hartford for the PBA Cambridge Credit Classic. The action starts as always 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 on the West Coast here on ESPN. Don't miss the best bowlers in the world from Windsor Locks. For more, log on to ESPN.com. All trying to get into that exempt field for next year. Patrick Healey Jr. is not in officially now. He has had a great year with points, though, as we talked about. 10th on tour, 73,000 points coming in. He's got many more to his credit now. Solid 10-pin there. Shafer's already in the exempt field with his win last week.
Thus far, the difference in this match is simple. Ball speed. Pat Healey Jr.'s ball speed, softer than Ryan Shafer's. Pat's getting his ball to face the pocket. Shafer's having trouble getting his ball to the pocket, especially on the left lane.
Perfect today. Pretty good stretch of success, too, on those numbers as he takes out number 10.
Hit the pocket.
Interesting sidebar this week. Pattern C was the same pattern we bowled on in Toledo. Both Patrick Healey Jr. and Chris Johnson made the shows there. Same pattern this week. Right back where they left off in Toledo. Patrick Healey looking to close the deal.
Shafer down 28 pins before that ball. 10 down to the pit for him there.
Walking around the bar return like he did last week. He's zoned in. He's wired in on this lane. Ring and 10 last time in the 5th frame. Aside from that, he's perfect on the right lane. The issue has been on the left. Right now, he trails by 28. With a strike, he can cut it to 18. Ryan Shafer can strike out for 238. Pat Healey Jr. going at a 226 pace.
2001 trick shot magic from Baltimore is coming up next. First, we finish up business from Long Island. 7-pin there for Ryan Shafer.
The bane of my existence.
There's about 4 pins that go over to the 7 and look for it. 3 of them laying on the deck. No takers.
Real look of disappointment on that shot. 7-pin. He'll be more pleased as he picks up the mark, but he needs strikes.
Yeah, and he not only needs strikes, but he needs help from Pat Healey now. Pat Healey going at 220 pace. The best Ryan Shafer can shoot now is 218.
Also interesting to note in our conversation last night with Patrick Healey Jr., Randy, about the wood approach synthetic lanes. His professional bowler wife, Teresa, from Mexico, knows a lot about that. He really likes this combination.
I think all the players like this. Anytime you can bowl on synthetic and then have wood approaches, it's a really nice combination because like Pat told us last night, you bowl on synthetics, humidity, other factors make the approaches sticky or slippery, but these approaches were pretty good. And so is this.
Teresa was with Patrick last week when he came so close to making the show, lost that to Michael Fagan, the story we told you about. Told Patrick, look, I'm not leaving you until you win. So I'm going to be with you on tour, honey, until you take the whole thing. That might just happen right now. It's been 24 events. Second tour event of last season. Near Kansas City, trying to do it near New York City
baby!
Today, and he's getting closer.
Well, that's all but sealed up the victory for Pat Healey Jr. I talked to my roommate Dave Traber last night. He said, who do you like? I said, I like Pat Healey Jr. And the reason why is twofold. Number one, I think he's coming out of the best position possible. Semifinal number 2. He wins his match, he goes straight into the title. Number 2, I saw what he did last night in the round of 8. I just think on this pattern, and I think because of what he's done the last 4 weeks, he was ready to win.
Gets a little help, but it's going to be too late for Ryan Shafer. Patrick Healey Jr. defeated Michael Gaither, 243-227. Amleno Monticelli and Tommy Delutz Jr. in Kansas City as the wild card to get to his title. Lone championship to date for Patrick Healey Jr. That is about to change.
Another great week, back-to-back weeks for Ryan Shafer. Unfortunately, too little, too late. Pat Healey Jr. just needs to show up in the 10th frame. We talked about at the top of the show, Dave Ryan, redemption, how guys get back into the mix. They create opportunities for themselves. They don't dwell on what happened last week. They move forward. It's all about the next week. And what do I have to do to win the next week? And Pat Healey Jr. rebounded from a disastrous open frame, 7th game, round of 8 last week to win this tournament.
So at least in this edition of our exciting PBA Tour live coverage, rolling toward the Dexter Tournament of Champions, our World Championship in March in Michigan, as we see the Shafer vault up the rankings, up to 18th now in points. Looks like Patrick Healey Jr. has done it. Big 4 there for Shafer as that ball goes right through the nose.
Great tournament, huh? Great week.
It's all but over.
Keep it behind, keep the foot behind the foul line. 7 pins to win. Pat Healey Jr. will win title number 2. Here's your winner.
He's got it. Patrick Healey Jr. has won his 2nd career championship, and in doing so, earned himself exemption for next year. She can go back to Mexico City. A happy woman. Teresa saw it in person. What a moment for Patrick.
You deserve one. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that, huh? Thanks, man. Great bowling.
Former amateur champion, an All-American at Wichita State in the early 90s.
Yeah, baby! Yeah!
In many international events. Here near New York City. He is a champion. His wife loves the moment. Patrick Healey Jr. wins on the island. ESPN's exclusive live coverage of the PBA GEICO Open is brought to you by GEICO. A 15-minute phone call could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By the official candy bar of the PBA, Baby Ruth from Nestle, the real deal. And by Miller High Life, to live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the highlight.
One of the lowest lows of your career, Patrick Healey Jr. against Michael Fagan in Albany. You lost in the round of 8. What does one of the highest highs feel like now for you in winning?
Well, obviously winning, any week winning is a high for my career, especially with my wife here this week. My first title, she wasn't here, so I'm glad she got to be here for it and see it all. Yeah, I mean, things have been going well, and this epitomizes everything. I'd like to say thanks quick to Storm for helping me out and pulling me aboard with the boys. It's worked out great since I've been with them. So,
congratulations. Career title number 2, Patrick Healey Jr. from Mexico City, Mexico, as he takes it on Long Island today. Be sure to join us next Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN, the PBA Cambridge Credit Classic from Windsor Locks, Connecticut. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Now for the entire crew from the island, my partner Randy Peterson, it's Dan Ryan saying so long, reminding you trip shot competition is coming up next from Baltimore. What a day for Patrick Healey.